At Tianling Base, all I could see was scorched earth and corpses strewn everywhere. A steel wire was tightly strangling my neck, and the agony of suffocation swept through my entire body. Blood and tears mixed together, streaming wildly down my cheeks. At my feet lay more than 20 brothers who had fought through life and death with me, the woman I cherished most, and my daughter, not yet a year old. All of them had fallen in pools of blood, without a trace of breath left. The mercenaries of the elite society wore vicious expressions as they gripped sharpened bamboo spikes and drove them one by one deep into the gaps beneath my fingernails. The piercing pain made my whole body convulse violently, and my heart-rending screams echoed through the ruined base. "You beasts! You won't die well." Gang leader Kai Wenhai tightened his grip again, the steel wire nearly snapping my neck apart. His gaze was savage to the extreme. "Hand over the energy crystal core and the food. Otherwise, I'll skin you alive today." I gritted my teeth and endured it, knowing full well that this once-in-a-millennium level, 5,000 energy crystal core had already driven every faction insane. Even if I handed everything over, I still wouldn't escape the fate of having my whole family wiped out. Blood poured from all 10 of my fingers, and 9 bamboo spikes were deeply embedded in the finger bones. The searing pain devoured my consciousness, and darkness completely swallowed my vision. When I opened my eyes again, an enraged roar burst from my throat. I shot upright from the bed, completely naked, cold sweat soaking my entire body. My chest heaved violently, and the lingering terror of near death gripped my mind tightly. Outside the window, thunder exploded and rain poured down in torrents. I looked around blankly, and the familiar rural villa came into view. This was the home I had lived in for 20 years. There was no rotten stench of blood from the apocalypse here. The air was fresh and gentle, the temperature comfortable, and the peace of it all made me feel dazed. I quickly grabbed the phone on the table. The date on the screen clearly read, April 5th, 2047, 8 a.m., Qingming Festival. I had really been reborn. There were only 5 short days left until that apocalyptic catastrophe that would destroy the world. The disasters of my previous life were still vivid before my eyes. A bizarre, monstrous flood swept across the globe, the water level surging to the height of more than 20 stories, and half of humanity perished in the vast ocean. After the torrential rain came earthquakes, extreme heat, extreme cold, and famine one after another. Zombies wandered everywhere, mutant beasts ran rampant, and humanity fell completely into hell. In those chaotic times, humanity was extinguished, and the major factions fought without end. For food, crystal cores, and supplies, they slaughtered and plundered by any means necessary. The level, 5,000 energy crystal core I had luckily obtained, one of fewer than 10 in Jiangnan province, became the root of my family's destruction. 2 traitors leaked the secret and drew the elite society to besiege us, leaving my family destroyed and all my brothers dead. Overwhelming hatred surged into my heart, and a bone-deep ruthlessness churned in my eyes. Kai Wenhai, the traitors, everyone who ever harmed me. In this life, I will have my revenge on all of them, a blood debt repaid in blood. I forced myself to calm down and quickly sorted through the situation. Only 5 days remained. I had to seize every second to prepare for battle. To survive the apocalypse, weapons, supplies, and shelter were all indispensable. But the Dragon Nation strictly forbade private gun ownership, so I could only go overseas to buy them. And there was no way to build a sturdy shelter in such a short time. Floods, earthquakes, and extreme weather would quickly destroy everything, and stockpiled goods were easily damaged or spoiled. At the thought of the 3 miserable years in my previous life gnawing on roots and eating rotten food, my heart filled with irritation. Just then, a crisp mechanical voice suddenly rang out in my mind. Ding. Farm system successfully bound. My spirits lifted. Closing my eyes and focusing, an independent space instantly appeared in my mind. More than 1,000 square meters of land were lush and green. A breeze brushed past as the grass swayed, with abundant sunlight and fresh air. Inside the space was a pond of living water, spring water bubbling continuously, along with 4 separate warehouses, a room temperature warehouse, a fresh storage warehouse, a freezer warehouse, and a tool warehouse. Each warehouse was nearly 100 square meters and fully equipped. The system's cold notification tone sounded one after another, clearly announcing the rules. 1. Farm time is completely synchronized with the outside world. 2. Plowing, sowing, maintenance, harvesting, and storage are fully automated throughout the entire process. 3. The system can automatically plan production based on the seeds and young livestock provided by the host. 4. Vegetables have a shelf life of 3 months. Meat has a frozen storage period of 1 year, and room temperature supplies follow the same validity period as the outside world. I pondered to myself. Although synchronized time meant the growth speed wasn't fast, the advantage was that supplies were not prone to expiring and the stability was extremely strong, perfectly suited to the stockpiling needs of the apocalypse. Just as the thought of whether people could live in the farm arose in my mind, the system responded with precision. Living creatures can only be taken into the space if they voluntarily give up resistance. Once the living creatures in the field reach the required weight, they will be slaughtered automatically. My heart jolted. This system could actually spy on my inner thoughts. Before I could react, the system continued broadcasting the upgrade rules. Farm level 1 corresponds to 1 mu of land. Binding 1 mercenary allows an upgrade. The maximum level is 9,999. The number of mercenaries determines the land area. If a mercenary dies, the corresponding land is immediately reclaimed. If a mercenary betrays you, a tenfold penalty will be triggered. In serious cases, all system supplies and space will be confiscated. I was instantly speechless. These rules were far too harsh. In my previous life, I had a 1,000-man team under my command, but in the end, only a little over 20 people remained, and there were even 2 traitors. If I had bound the system in my previous life, everything would already have been completely confiscated. The host may choose not to bind mercenaries and live in peace relying only on the initial 1 mu of land. Suppressing my anger, I asked when planting could begin. The system replied indifferently. Only the warehouses can be used normally. After binding the first mercenary, the farm will officially begin operation. Announcement complete. No further prompts. As soon as the words fell, the system fell completely silent. No matter how I called out, there was no response at all. I was full of complaints that this system came with its own bug. It required mercenaries in order to farm, yet strictly limited mercenary loyalty at the same time. It was practically a trap. But for now, the usable warehouses were already my greatest trump card. I immediately finalized my plan. First stock up on supplies, then go overseas to purchase weapons. I quickly booked a flight to the US, took out all my savings, got on my electric scooter, and rushed out the door. When I reached the city center, a bustling streetscape came into view, with pedestrians all over the streets dressed in bright, fashionable clothes. A scene of peace and prosperity. I sighed inwardly. 5 days from now, this place would turn into a living hell, and in chaotic times, beautiful people were often the first to meet with disaster. There were only 3 hours left before my flight departed, so I strode into a high-end clothing mall, preparing to buy a batch of lightweight, durable sportswear suited for the life of constant running and fighting in the apocalypse. I walked to a counter, picked up a pair of running shoes, and asked the price. The saleswoman glanced at my old clothes, her eyes full of disdain, and replied perfunctorily, "For 1,000, no discount." Just as I was about to haggle, an abrupt voice broke into my mind. "If you can't afford it, then don't touch it. Poor people should go hunt for cheap stuff at street stalls." I whipped my head around, but there was no one behind me. Before I could recover, that impatient inner voice sounded again. "Holding it without buying it is delaying my business." What a lunatic. I stared fixedly at the saleswoman, who hadn't opened her mouth, and instantly realized, after being reborn, I had unlocked the heaven-defying ability to hear people's thoughts. In the apocalypse, the most terrifying thing was never zombies or mutant beasts, but the treacherous human heart. With this ability, all the conspiracies, schemes, and hidden malice in the world would have nowhere to hide before me. I put down the running shoes and turned toward another counter. A young sales clerk immediately came up enthusiastically. "Handsome, this pair of running shoes is 4,500, and right now it's buy one get one free. The promotion is an amazing deal." She seemed sincere and warm, but her inner thoughts were full of calculation. "I can just throw in a cheap pair of socks to fool him, no need to discount it. And I can even make 500 in commission and tips." I sneered inwardly and immediately gave up on buying them. My gaze swept over to a female sales clerk across from me who looked dejected. Her inner thoughts were full of anxiety. "I haven't made a single sale for days. My performance is at the bottom, and this month's salary is going to be gone." I walked straight to her counter and selected multiple outfits, including tennis shirts, baseball shirts, full sportswear sets, running shoes, skate shoes, and more. She was both startled and delighted, and quickly introduced the exclusive Qingming Festival discounts, proactively offering the lowest discount in the entire store. with her only thought being to complete her monthly sales target. Taking advantage of her discount, I bought multiple sets of high-end clothing in one go, saving more than $10,000 off the original price. The previous sales clerk, who had been ignored by me the whole time, was so angry that she gnashed her teeth, her face full of resentment. I felt thoroughly satisfied. Though the farm system had its shortcomings, the gift of hearing people's thoughts was enough to let me seize the initiative at every step in the apocalypse and avoid every betrayal. After finishing my purchases, I walked into the restroom and stored all the supplies in the farm space. Then I changed into a high-end suit worth over $100,000. The neat, sharp outfit instantly stripped away my youthful greenness, making my bearing upright and fierce. I threw away the maxed-out credit card. The $2 million in death compensation my parents left behind was now completely spent. But I felt no heartache at all. With the apocalypse approaching, money would eventually become worthless paper. Only supplies and strength were the true foundation for survival. At 10 in the morning, I boarded a first-class flight to the US and leaned back in my seat to rest. A pretty trainee flight attendant walked over slowly and asked gently, "Sir, what would you like to drink?" I looked up. The girl was tall and slender, with delicate features and a gentle temperament. The next second, her thoughts entered my mind. This guy is way too handsome. The quality of that suit is top tier. He's definitely rich. I wonder if he has a girlfriend? A cup of coffee, thank you. I spoke calmly. As I took the coffee, I clearly caught the favorability in her eyes. After the flight attendant left, a balding middle-aged man beside me leaned over, the Walmart badge on his chest especially eye-catching. He glanced lewdly at the flight attendant and raised his brows as he joked. "Kid, got your eye on her? Want me to teach you a trick?" I responded casually. The man simply took out a business card himself with a smug look, then got up and headed to the restroom. Taking advantage of the gap, I carefully planned the layout of the farm space. Each of the 4 warehouses was 10 meters high and nearly 100 square meters in area. The overall space was wide open, and the 1,000 square meter open ground could temporarily store supplies. The pond's running water could serve as a backup. I only needed to recruit the first mercenary to activate fully automated planting and breeding. I had already decided on my mercenary candidate and would never repeat the mistakes of my previous life. Male mercenaries were ambitious and greedy for crystal cores, fighting over resources, scheming against one another, and prone to betrayal. Loyal, obedient female mercenaries who knew gratitude were the best choice in the apocalypse. As long as they were given protection and supplies, they would follow to the death. Once I had established myself, I would also build an exclusive fortress base and completely say goodbye to the plight of being homeless and passively beaten, as in my previous life. A moment later, the balding man returned sullenly, his face full of frustration. His inner thoughts were full of resentment. Why act so innocent? What an ungrateful woman. I was unfamiliar with life in the US, and when I saw his identity as the logistics director of Walmart's Los Angeles Central Warehouse, I instantly began to scheme. For stockpiling before the apocalypse, a large storage base was the best breakthrough point. Getting connected with him could save me countless troubles. I smiled lightly and said, "Uncle got shot down? I can handle her in no time." Pudihai looked full of disdain and raised his brows teasingly. "If you can win her over, I'll share all my connections and resources with you." I deliberately agreed in a hearty manner. When the flight attendant came by the cabin again, I quickly wrote a note and handed it to her, the wording relaxed and humorous. After reading it, the flight attendant burst into laughter, took the initiative to leave her private contact information, and walked away with light steps. Pudihai was dumbfounded and kept pressing me for the secret. I acted mysterious and refused to answer, then took the opportunity to ask for help. "Uncle who? I've just arrived abroad. I don't have a job or a place to stay. Could you help arrange a job for me?" Still preoccupied with the flight attendant, Pudihai egged me on. "Help me win that girl over, and I'll take care of the job." I pretended to agree and humored him until he was overjoyed, smoothly obtaining his personal business card and the club's contact information. Pudihai completely let down his guard and frankly said that local workers in the US were lazy, so positions like warehouse handling, forklifts, and cleaning were short-staffed all year round. No education or technical skills were required, making it very easy to get hired. Full of enthusiasm, he asked for my documents on the spot and helped me complete the onboarding procedures online for Walmart's Los Angeles Central Warehouse. Along the way, he spoke without restraint and repeatedly invited me to go out for fun that night, but I politely declined every time. Just as I got out of the taxi, my phone suddenly rang. The caller ID was Wang Lihua. The moment I saw that name, The temperature around me seemed to drop to freezing, and killing intent surged in my eyes. Wang Lihua, my college deskmate, was one of the main culprits who betrayed me in my previous life. On the surface, she seemed gentle, well-behaved, and pitiful, but in reality, she was materialistic, vain, and deeply scheming. In the early days of the apocalypse, she followed my team closely, only to hook up with others in the blink of an eye. In the end, she colluded with Song Qingchuan and was bought off by Lord Liang Kuei, leaking the top secret information that I possessed a level 5,000 crystal core, causing my entire household to die tragically and all my brothers to perish. The call connected, and her soft, affectedly sweet voice came through the receiver. "Brother Lang, where are you? Song Qingchuan and I want to hang out with you. It's so hot. We want you to teach me how to swim." I suppressed the surging killing intent and replied in a calm, icy tone, "I'm out of town. I can't come back for now." Wang Lihua's voice was full of disappointment. She deliberately spoke into the phone while talking with Song Qingchuan beside her, pretending to be sweet and trying to make me stay. I clearly heard Song Qingchuan's jealousy and unwillingness. He had always envied my looks, popularity, and ability, and had long harbored ill intentions. "Come back soon, okay? I'll wait for you." Wang Lihua still fawned on me, unwilling to give up. "I'll contact you when I'm back," I said flatly, then hung up directly. Beside me, Hu Dihai clicked his tongue in admiration, his face full of envy. "Little brother, you've really got charm. So many girls are all over you." I gave a perfunctory smile and said nothing more. I had long since etched the blood-deep hatred from my previous life into my heart. Once I had stockpiled enough supplies and prepared my weapons, the first thing I'd do after returning to the country would be to settle accounts with every traitor and enemy. We drove to Walmart's Los Angeles Central Warehouse. The time difference was exactly 12 hours. While it was 9:30 at night back home, here it was 9:30 in the morning. I had no mind to rest or adjust to the jet lag. All I wanted was to hurry up and stockpile supplies for the coming battle. After handling my onboarding procedures and briefly introducing me to a few warehouse employees, Hu Dihai hurried off to his appointment. There were few workers in the warehouse, only a little more than 10 foreign employees, most of them lazy and sluggish. The entire storage base covered hundreds of thousands of square meters and was enormous in scale. Shelves over 10 meters high stood in neat rows, pallets of goods stacked layer upon layer, tightly wrapped, with every kind of supply imaginable. Alcohol, grain and oil, snacks, everything one could need. I rode a self-balancing scooter through the aisles between the shelves, quickly organizing my stockpiling strategy. The farm space could handle fully automated planting and breeding, so there was no need to stockpile large quantities of grain, oil, vegetables, fruit, or meat. But alcohol, dried goods, industrial supplies, and high-end consumables were scarce hard currency in the apocalypse and had to be collected in full. When I reached the alcohol section and saw the rows of high-end foreign liquor and wine, a thought flashed through my mind, and I instantly took away 10 full pallets of alcohol supplies. The moment I got them, my heart leaped with joy. The farm storage made no sound and left no trace at all. Its concealment was maxed out. But I quickly calmed down. The warehouse aisles were covered with high-definition cameras, with full surveillance and no blind spots. With both hands in his pockets, he didn't dare take anything out under such suspicious circumstances. 2 handlers saw him with his hands in his pockets and that lazy look, and couldn't help frowning. Qin Lang paid them no mind and kept walking forward. "Whole milk is nutritious. Take 5 pallets. Coffee drinks take up space. Don't want them. No mineral water. Coke and Sprite harm sperm. Forget it. Don't want them either." Just like that, right in front of several handlers, Qin Lang tossed the items into his farm. These 15 pallets of goods happened to total 15 cubic meters, automatically stacked neatly. Calculated this way, the warehouse could hold 3,000 pallets. One moo of land in the farm had no height limit, so it could fit tens of thousands of pallets. Qin Lang had no interest in drinks full of additives. Not only did they waste space, but their shelf life was also very short. When he reached the instant beverage and food section, his eyes immediately lit up. Oatmeal and honey keep well, 20 pallets of each. Coffee is energizing and stores well, 10 pallets. 2 boxes of tea are enough, since it's just for my own drinking. Milk tea definitely needs 10 pallets. It's the most useful thing for coaxing young girls, though unfortunately it takes up too much space. 8 treasure porridge, 20 pallets. Although this warehouse had an immense amount of supplies, Qin Lang didn't dare strip just one area bare. After taking the milk tea, he arrived at the condiments section. In the apocalypse, oil, salt, soy sauce, and vinegar were very hard to find, especially salt, which was extremely scarce. Without these seasonings, you wouldn't even have any strength in your body. 50 pallets of salt. Would that be discovered? There were at least a dozen containers worth of salt here. Qin Lang looked around, then tossed an entire pile inside. Soy sauce, MSG, oyster sauce, salad dressing, ketchup, 5 pallets of each. No chili sauce. The farm can produce it. Space is limited, and not a bit can be wasted. If you take too much of these things, they'll expire anyway. Qin Lang kept reminding himself, hoping not to get too greedy. Ham sausages only have a shelf life of 6 months, so take 2 pallets. Instant noodles and self-heating rice. 5 pallets should be enough to eat for a year. After collecting them, Qin Lang slapped himself hard across the face. Floods, extreme cold, extreme heat. Don't you have any clue what you really need? Take fewer snacks. Eating too much isn't healthy. When he got to the fresh food section, there was actually an aquaculture area inside. He got so excited that he shouted in his heart, "Mantis shrimp, scallops, abalone, king crab, grouper, come to my farm now. Boston lobster, salmon, tuna, cod, I want them all." Huh, why is there no response? Qin Lang remembered that living creatures had to give up resisting, otherwise the space couldn't store them. Seeing a landing net not far away, he picked it up. The farm reservoir was freshwater, so he chose only freshwater fish and shrimp. He didn't take too much of this stuff, only scooped up a few hundred of each species. Once put into the farm reservoir, they would reproduce on their own. Just then, a blonde, blue-eyed beauty walked over. "Hey, don't move around, go play somewhere else." Speaking in clumsy Dragon Kingdom language, the beauty drove Qin Lang away. Qin Lang had no choice but to head to the frozen fresh food section. Australian snowflake beef, 5 cows? No, not 5, 50. Pork, 5 pigs? No, 50 pigs too. Mutton, still 50. Vegetables and fruit, let's take 1 ton. I'm really such a greedy money grubber. Grains, dried shiitake mushrooms, vermicelli, noodles, stuff these into the space as much as possible. Qin Lang tried his best to restrain himself, and finally came to the seed section, where he took a little of every kind of vegetable seed. After the flood, many seeds had been soaked rotten by the rainwater. Then came extreme heat, and the seeds quickly grew mold. By winter, with temperatures of more than 50 degrees below zero, even the seeds underground were frost damaged. By the spring of the second year, these seeds simply would not sprout. Occasionally some would sprout, but they wouldn't flower or bear fruit. Instead, some underground weeds grew very lush. Now that he had seeds, he would never have to worry about eating wild grass and tree bark again. Qin Lang finally felt at ease. After gathering food, he went to the household supplies section. There were many barrels of gasoline, alcohol, and bamboo charcoal here. For quite a long time after the apocalypse, there was still fuel left at gas stations, so Qin Lang only put a tiny bit in. Next, he arrived at the cleaning supplies area. Personal hygiene was a major issue in the apocalypse. No one wanted to hold a stinky woman. Plane tickets don't expire, so he packed 2 pallets. Goddess exclusive, he also packed 2 pallets. Toothpaste and toothbrushes, he took 1 pallet. Liquids like shampoo and body wash take up quite a bit of space. So Qin Lang picked 50 bars of scented soap, 50 bars of laundry soap, plus 50 boxes of sulfur soap. Sulfur soap helps prevent dandruff and can also disinfect and kill bacteria. Safety was also a major issue. Qin Lang picked 10 packs of ultra-thin turtle shells to avoid cross-infection. If he couldn't use them all up, they could even be blown up as balloons. Seeing medical supplies not far away, he slid over again. He didn't consider any of the medicines here, only choosing some gauze and anti-inflammatory drugs. When you roam the world, getting cut is hard to avoid. He got 50 packs of gauze and 2 pallets of anti-inflammatory drugs too. As for colds and fevers, that seemed to happen rarely in the apocalypse. After ordinary people got infected, they either died on the spot or turned into zombies. People with powers seemed practically buffed and never got sick. These powers could be obtained from zombie crystal cores. Should he get a box of blue xiaoyao pills or not? Would something happen if he did? Huh, they're actually selling girlfriends here? Damn, they even have cilantro and jilling? Should he get one? Qin Lang was hesitating. The pretty young lady from earlier walked over again, and looking at him, she started feeling disgusted. What the hell is this idiot doing, staring at inflatable dolls? Qin Lang was startled inside and turned around to say, "You, work of fragrant grass sky, nanny?" The foreign girl couldn't understand and asked with a puzzled face, "What did you say? Wanna know? Come to my dorm tonight." Qin Lang ignored her and along the way picked out some raincoats, rain boots, swim rings, pots, bowls, ladles, and basins, tossing some of everything into the space. Next, he chose several thousand flashlights, a few pallets of batteries, a whole pallet of candles, and a pack of kerosene lighters. No need to worry about shelf life with these things. Just stuff them all inside. The key part had arrived. Air conditioners. He absolutely had to get 100 of them. Otherwise, he'd die from the heat. A refrigerator seems unnecessary, right? The space has a freezer. Small generators. Get 5 first, as long as they work. And for winter, he'll need coal too. Right after that came cotton shoes. Socks, underwear, sweaters, bras, thermal underwear, mink coats. All thrown in by the bundle. After all, many things in the apocalypse had been soaked in water and carried plenty of viruses. Bikinis, definitely 10 pallets. He'd figure out a way to get a yacht later. When everyone else is dying from the heat, I'll be out playing on a yacht. The clothes Qin Lang picked out were enough for 9,999 women to wear for a lifetime. The baby supplies not far away made his heart ache sharply. Qin Lang barely hesitated. After walking in, he stuffed baby bottles, diapers, swaddling blankets, baby clothes, toys, and formula all inside. In his previous life, he felt he had let his child down. In this life, he didn't even know whether he would still be able to meet his daughter. Thinking of this made him grit his teeth even harder at the 2 traitors, Wang Lihua and Song Qingchuan. If he caught them, he would definitely use the cruelest methods against them. Qin Lang was furious, and when he turned his head, he actually saw guns and ammunition not far away. Damn, Walmart sells this? Probably not, right? Didn't they stop selling it? Seeing no one around, Qin Lang quietly slid over. He came to the storage racks where the weapons were kept. On the shelves were several thousand crates of bullets and firearms of various models. However, there were no signs posted here. It was obvious these were all old inventory. Even the plastic wrapping outside had become very worn. Qin Lang looked around once more. The foreign girl from earlier hadn't followed him over. 62 bullets. Take 50 crates? If he moved too many, he'd definitely be discovered. No, better make it 100 crates. It seemed like no one had been here for a long time. Otherwise, why were there no tire tracks on the ground nearby? M4A1 carbines, the standard weapon of army infantry. Take them all. It's only 10 pallets anyway. MP762 pistols. Nice. Take 2 pallets of those too. Submachine guns. Take them all. It's just a pity there were no grenades and no rocket launchers. There were also quite a few combat boots, tactical gloves, military canteens, and modular backpacks inside. Qin Lang took some of each and hurried off. When he saw the sports equipment not far away, his heartbeat immediately sped up. None of the other stuff here mattered. Assault boats, kayaks, and motorcycles were all excellent. Seeing no one around, Qin Lang quickly tossed in a few vehicles. When he turned around, the pretty little foreign girl from earlier came running over again. Handsome, what did you mean by what you said just now? Qin Lang glanced at her. This girl really had very fair skin. A high-bridged nose, a rounded chin, and fiery lips. Blonde hair and blue eyes, radiating mature charm in every way. Especially her figure. It was practically explosive. She looked to be in her early 20s. He gave her a thumbs up and praised her. Your Mandarin is pretty good. The little foreign girl looked very happy and held out her hand. Hello, my name is Alice. I'm a temp worker here. My name is Qin Lang. Nice to meet you. Oh, do you really like working out? Seeing that he had been wandering around the sports section for a long time, Alice started chatting with him. Qin Lang knew that American girls loved sports and that their beauty standards leaned toward the fit type. He flicked up his shirt and said, Yes, I like water sports most. Swimming, surfing, kayaking, assault boats. I can do them all. Of course, that also includes some extreme sports, like rock climbing and bungee jumping. Shooting is one of my strengths too. When Alice saw his 8-pack abs, she opened her mouth wide in excitement. Deep feeling flowed in her eyes, and her gaze became a little dazed and fervent. Oh, Qin, you're amazing. I can't do any of those. Could you teach me? American girls really are this passionate and direct. Qin Lang pretended to be a little troubled. But I have to work right now. You don't need to work. My daddy is the president here. You can go out and have fun with me. Alice didn't care about any of that and tugged at Qin Lang's clothes. Our villa has a huge swimming pool, and my family also has a yacht. That one sentence gave her away. She had a swimming pool at home, yet she said she couldn't swim. When Qin Lang heard that her family had a yacht, he got off the hoverboard. Before long, Alice drove out her sports car and whistled at Qin Lang, who had just come out of the warehouse. Qin, get in, I'll take you for a drive. Qin Lang risked his life to keep a gentleman company. Anyway, there were still 2 days left, so as soon as he got in the car, he wrapped an arm around Alice and gave her a hard kiss. Alice, are there any weapon shops nearby? Shall we go take a look? Okay, sit tight. With a vroom, Alice stepped on the gas. Flames spurted from the sports car as it traced an arc on the road and charged toward downtown. This girl drove fiercely, going straight up to 140 miles per hour. Ha ha ha. Alice burst out laughing, looking extremely excited. Qin, you're the best man I've ever met. What do you mean by that? Qin Lang thought to himself. I haven't even shown my prowess yet. Qin Lang lowered his head and saw that this great American beauty really was open-minded. Alice, that's not the handbrake. You're really amazing. Not far away, a shop had a revolver sign hanging at its entrance. Alice glanced at it, then hit the gas and sped over. When Qin Lang came out, he had only brought 2 million. He had only planned to buy a few things casually anyway, but now that he hadn't spent a single cent, he couldn't possibly just go back like this. As soon as they got out of the car, Alice jumped up and wrapped herself around Qin Lang's neck, kissing him wildly. She paid no attention at all to the people around them. Qin Lang carried her into the shop and was instantly stunned by the dazzling array of guns inside. Everything inside was exquisitely made, with a rich variety, and the prices were unbelievably cheap. On the black market back home, a handgun that cost tens of thousands was only $300 here. Damn, this pistol crossbow is only $22, and bullets are only a few cents? Qin, do you like this? Alice walked over carrying a large sniper rifle and said in broken Dragon Kingdom language, I think your temperament matches this firepower. Alice was joking, but Qin Lang didn't find it funny. Still, he really did like the thing. After he had a friendly exchange with the owner told him that only people who had lived in America for at least 3 months could buy one. Alice giggled and took out her ID. It's okay, Qin. Just tell me what you want to buy. She brought her lips to Qin Lang's ear. There's no one at all in my villa. However you want to play, we'll play. Really? Qin Lang smiled gently, fed her another half day of saliva, then took out a pen and copied from the shelf. Macmillan, 2. Lee Enfield, AWM, 2. Scopes, 100. Slings, 100. M416s are 1,500 each, which is about 12,000 in dragon currency, so give me 50. 500 crossbows, 30 bow guns. Bullets, grenades, time bombs, all in. Qin Lang only stopped when he had spent almost all the money. Although America sells tens of millions of guns every year, the owner still couldn't understand his behavior. Oh, sir, are you an arms dealer? Qin Lang ignored him, leaving all of it to Alice to smooth over. Alice wrote down the address and couldn't wait to get in the car. This crazy woman was in such a hurry that once she got in, she started speeding again. After driving nearly 50 kilometers toward the suburbs, the two stopped in front of a large country villa. Yoo-hoo! Alice jumped out of the car, yanked off her t-shirt, and then ran wildly into the yard. In the sunset, her skin gleamed with a golden hue. It had to be said, that back view was incredibly sexy. A hot-blooded man like Qin Lang definitely couldn't take it. As soon as they entered the house, he picked Alice up and jumped into the swimming pool and started giving her artificial respiration. Alice really couldn't swim and clung desperately to Qin Lang. Oh my God. Qin, save me, save me. The two of them entangled in the pool for several hours. Only then did Qin Lang realize that this girl was actually brand new. How the hell was that possible? Watching Alice showering not far away, he quickly called Hu Dihai. Uncle Hu, I'm not going to work today, and probably not tomorrow either. Huh. Why? Hu Dihai was busy with something. Qin Lang deliberately showed off. I'm at Alice's house, and she's got me tied up. Damn. Kid, you're incredible. You even dared to make a move on our regional president's daughter? Hu Dihai sounded very excited, and even his tone changed. Brother, if anything comes up in the future, you've got to look out for me. While Qin Lang was on the phone, the flight attendant called. After thinking for a moment, he said, Liang Rongrong, please book me the earliest flight for tomorrow. Yes, I'm going back to Linchuan. Qin Lang felt like he was unbelievably lucky. But with his physique, it really was easy for women to be captivated by him. For the past 2 years, he had done nothing else, training every day in all kinds of ways. Combined with his natural athletic talent, he had actually developed an 8-pack. Just as Qin Lang got out of the pool, the delivery arrived. Several large trucks were parked by the roadside in the yard. The gun shop owner had already unloaded the goods at the door. Sir, please sign here. After the trucks drove away, Qin Lang quietly put the weapons into his space without anyone noticing. There were little woods all around, and in the river channel not far away, a luxury cruise ship was quietly docked. Qin Lang walked over, and with a thought, put the cruise ship away. When he came back, he was holding only a box of chocolates and a rose. He had seen the rose in the yard and was using it as a gift. Alice walked out of the house while blow-drying her hair. Alice, this is for you. Qin Lang handed her the chocolates and the rose. "Oh, darling, you're so romantic." Alice was deeply moved, and naturally another hug was unavoidable. The two of them enjoyed many activities that night, such as a candlelight dinner, a red wine dance party, pole dancing, cheek-to-cheek dancing, and also some traditional folk martial arts moves from the Dragon Kingdom. After Alice fell asleep, Qin Lang quietly got up. Alice's father truly was a regional president. The underground garage was packed with luxury cars, Porsche, Ferrari, Hummer, and even a high-end RV. Sigh, I guess I'll reluctantly take them. There seemed to be a wine cellar next to it. Qin Lang walked into the villa's basement and put anything useful he saw into his space. All kinds of collectible guns, diamonds, gold, luxury watches, long and short blades. A happy and fulfilling night passed. The next day, after sleeping until the afternoon, Qin Lang got dressed and asked Alice to take him to the airport. Alice stared in surprise. "Qin, weren't you here to work? Why are you leaving?" "Darling, I didn't expect it either." Qin Lang put on a sad expression. "My father is seriously ill, and I have to hurry back. I'll be back in 3 days at most." "Ah, I'm so sorry." Alice hurried over to comfort him. The two of them quickly left the suburban villa. All along the way, Alice was in especially low spirits. "Darling, you have to come back. If you don't, I'll come find you." Alice looked as if she was serious. Qin Lang couldn't tell what she was thinking now. He felt that when the other party's emotions were conflicted and complicated, their mind became completely blank. Just after the two got in the car, Hu Dihai called. "Qin Lang, where are you? A batch of guns went missing from the warehouse yesterday, and the police are questioning people. Get back here right away." "I'm outside with Alice." Qin Lang was inwardly shocked. Could it be that he had been found out so quickly? Hearing that, Hu Dihai asked, "When did you leave with Alice yesterday?" "Director Hu, I left very early." Qin Lang put the call on speaker and handed the phone to Alice. "Darling, explain it for me." "Hu, this is Alice." Alice took the phone and said, "I was with Qin the whole afternoon yesterday. The two of us didn't touch anything." She was telling the truth. When Qin Lang entered the warehouse, Alice had been secretly observing him. She thought he was wandering around acting a bit oddly, but she had never seen Qin Lang take anything. After hearing that, Hu Dihai had no choice but to hand the phone to the president. "Boss, the new porter was with your daughter. I don't think there's any need to investigate." "Oh shit." The president picked up the phone. The two argued over the phone for quite a while. Qin Lang could tell that the president seemed very angry. "Alice, I hope you stay away from this loser, or I'll lock you up." "I won't agree to that." Alice was also very rebellious, roaring back at her dragon of a father. She slammed on the gas again and sped toward the airport in a flash. On the way, Alice seemed lost in thought. Only after they arrived at the airport did she turn back and say, "Darling, you should head back first. I'm not in the mood to see you off anymore. Darling, I'll miss you." Qin Lang pretended to be reluctant as he pulled her into his arms, then jumped out of the sports car. When they parted, Alice didn't get out. She just suddenly started crying, then wiped away her tears as she watched Qin Lang's figure recede into the distance. Only after Qin Lang disappeared into the plaza did she finally leave reluctantly. The handsome man had gone with the breeze, yet she still couldn't forget his fading silhouette. Qin Lang, however, was extremely nervous at this moment. He had not expected that the matter of the firearms would actually be noticed. Walmart didn't have that many firearms, so it was easy to tell when half of them suddenly disappeared. If Alice hadn't covered for him, he would have had to go back obediently for questioning. The investigation would lead nowhere and only waste time. Qin Lang hurried into the hall and quickly dialed his phone. "Hello, Miss Rongrong. Has my plane ticket been bought for me?" "Mr. Qin, it's already been taken care of. Where are you?" came the sweet voice of the flight attendant. "I'm at the entrance to the terminal. Please come out for a moment." Qin Lang hung up, then took out from his space a box of expensive chocolates and a doll. This box of chocolates was worth more than 3,000. The doll was even shockingly expensive, costing over 8,000. Yesterday, he had asked Liang Rongrong to help him book a return flight ticket and had promised to give her a surprise gift. He had thought Liang Rongrong wouldn't agree, but to his surprise, she agreed readily. Thinking about it, it made sense. After all, it was just a small favor. By the time Qin Lang got the plane ticket, there was only half an hour left before departure. Fortunately, with Liang Rongrong's help, he boarded the plane quickly. As soon as Qin Lang sat down, he handed over the chocolates and doll. "Beauty, these are gifts I brought for you." Liang Rongrong glanced at the people around them and said embarrassedly, "Mr. Qin, for something this small, you really don't need to take it so seriously." "How could I not? I can't break my word to a beauty." Qin Lang smiled and handed the gift bag to her. This kind of girl was easy to please. The moment she saw the chocolates and doll, She was so happy that she kept saying thank you. The way she looked at Qin Lang now had grown much more passionate. This handsome guy is pretty nice. He probably has feelings for me. Should I get to know him? If possible, starting a relationship wouldn't be bad either. Qin Lang smiled and picked up a cup of coffee. His heart could no longer hold back. He wanted to go back and do several major things. These things had to be done before the apocalypse arrived. Otherwise, later on, everyone would be drifters in a chaotic world, and who knew when they would meet again. At that moment, an announcement came over the plane. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome aboard flight times to Linjiang City, Dragon Nation. Qin Lang let out a long breath. 3 years of life in the apocalypse had already taught him to remain calm in the face of anything. But even so, encountering something like this still made him somewhat nervous. If anything went wrong, he would have to stay in America and kill foreign zombie hordes. Even though the routines were all the same, he wouldn't be able to take his own revenge. He had far too many enemies in this life. First, the 2 traitors had to be dealt with. Then there were the several mercenary groups that had besieged the Skywolf team, including Lord Sir. All of them were his mortal enemies. In the apocalypse, there was fighting and killing every day. In both his past and present life, enemies were everywhere, and they had to be eliminated one by one. Of course, there were also people he needed to protect. Looking at the blue sky and white clouds outside, Qin Lang calculated that there were less than 2 days left before the apocalypse descended. It was now 3:30 p.m. in America. By the time he arrived in Dragon Nation, it would be a little after 4 p.m. on April 7th, about 13 hours later. Not long after the plane took off, Liang Rongrong came over again. Mr. Qin, would you like me to book the hotel where you'll be staying in Linjiang City? Qin Lang hadn't expected that after one trip abroad, his luck with women would get better and better, but he didn't feel proud of it. He just smiled and declined. No need. I'll treat you to a meal sometime. Okay. Liang Rongrong smiled faintly, looking a little shy. Her peach blossom face was especially beautiful. But the woman on Qin Lang's mind right now was someone else. Yang Wenwen, the campus belle of Linjiang City Finance Academy. Qin Lang had had 7 or 8 women in total, and most of them had not survived more than half a year. The first was Wang Lihua, who was also his enemy. After being abandoned by Qin Lang, she hooked up with his subordinate mercenary Song Qingchuan, and the 2 of them joined the elite society. Yang Wenwen was the second. Later, she was torn to pieces by zombies while trying to save Qin Lang. The third woman was bitten to death by a mutated beast, her bones chewed clean. The fourth woman, Lin Xiaoxiao, gave him a daughter, but in the end, both mother and daughter were hacked to death by mercenaries from the elite society. The other women also perished in this catastrophe. When the apocalypse arrived, Lin Xiaoxiao was on a cruise ship traveling with her family. Like the other 2 women, he only knew which city she was in, not her exact address or contact information. In this life, it would be best to find these women before they were ruined. What Qin Lang could do now was kill the 2 traitors and bring back his first woman. As the class beauty, campus beauty, and city beauty of the Finance Academy, Yang Wenwen was exceptionally gorgeous, a true goddess-level beauty. In Qin Lang's eyes, she was practically the national flower, the world flower, the flower of the universe. The 2 of them didn't have much interaction in ordinary times. On the university campus, they had only ever brushed past each other. After the apocalypse, Yang Wenwen was once chased by zombies, and Qin Lang saved her. At that time, she no longer looked like the goddess she was now, but was ugly and dark-skinned. She was ugly because someone had slashed her face, and she had also been raped by many evil men. Qin Lang being with her was also a way of reclaiming his original aspirations and fulfilling the fantasy of his reckless youth. Later, when facing a level 3,000 zombie, Yang Wenwen was determined to let Qin Lang escape, and she herself was torn into several pieces by the zombie. Thinking back now, perhaps by then she had already lost all hope. She had never wanted to live in ugliness. One life for another. In this life, we owe each other nothing. This was the last affection Yang Wenwen showed Qin Lang. By the time she died, she had already evolved to level 2000, and her talent was actually quite good. Qin Lang had thought that once things and people changed, everything would be over, but he never expected to be reborn. In this life, he planned to use a few brothers and women as his starting capital. He would seize the super crystal cores before everyone else, and enter the ranks of the strong as soon as possible. He just didn't know where these bros were now. Qin Lang decided that his first mercenary would start with Yang Wenwen. He didn't dare casually look for just anyone else. What if the first mercenary died or betrayed him? Wouldn't the farm be taken back? When Qin Lang woke up, the plane had already arrived at the airport. As soon as he got off the plane, he turned on his phone and called Wang Lihua. Wang Lihua, where are you? Ah, Brother Lang, you're back? Wang Lihua sounded very happy. Brother Lang, I'm camping over in Kangwu with a few classmates. Kangwu? Then when will you be back? I'll be back tomorrow afternoon. Brother Lang, did you miss me? Yes, very much. Come back early tomorrow. Hearing this, Wang Lihua actually laughed out loud. Brother Lang, really? Then how about I be your girlfriend? No matter how much Qin Lang had calculated, he hadn't expected that this woman had actually gone to Kangwu. That was more than 300 kilometers away. Since she would be back tomorrow, he would wait one more day. Today was April 7th, and tomorrow, April 8th, there would be light rain. At 5:30 p.m. on April 9th, a global rainstorm would arrive. By tomorrow night, there would no longer be any chance to go outside. What should he do now? It was definitely impossible to save Yang Wenwen at the moment. She was living perfectly well in her villa. Wang Lihua, Song Qingchuan must die. The vengeance for his parents must be avenged. It was too risky now. He still had to wait until tomorrow. Seeing that it was already almost 3 o'clock, Qin Lang thought it over and decided he should go home first. He hailed a taxi and was just about to get in when he saw Liang Rongrong walking out as well. Mr. Qin, fancy running into you again. Where are you headed? Going home. Qin Lang stopped. Miss Liang, where is your home? My home. It's not in this city. Liang Rongrong walked over carrying her suitcase. We'll just find a hotel to stay for one night. Wait until we adjust to the time difference and get ready for the next flight. Hearing her say that, Qin Lang invited her. Miss Liang, how about we have a meal together? I don't know if there'll be another chance next time. Liang Rongrong's heart was pounding like a startled deer. I've never been in a relationship before. It's the first time I felt so attracted to a man. Could it be that I've fallen in love? Especially his eyes. Deep and charming, utterly irresistible. Should I let such an opportunity slip by? Hearing her inner thoughts, Qin Lang reached out and took her suitcase. Miss Liang, please. Who would turn down a woman who loves him, especially a beautiful woman? Liang Rongrong did not refuse and unconsciously followed him forward. Qin Lang didn't call a taxi either and walked with her instead. This bustling street would never be seen again in the future. The breeze outside was just right, and the weather was cool. The street was lively, full of traffic, and couples passed by from time to time, every face wearing a happy smile. Seeing Qin Lang's calm, detached, cool, and handsome demeanor, Liang Rongrong couldn't help but edge a little closer to him. Mr. Qin, where are we going? We're going to the Michelin restaurant ahead. After dinner, I'll take you to the hotel. While the two were talking, several children holding balloons ran past her. Liang Rongrong lost her balance for a moment and nearly stumbled. Qin Lang reacted quickly and grabbed her arm to steady her. He could clearly feel that his arm had just brushed against a soft mound. And there was the alluring fragrance in her hair, intoxicating. After Liang Rongrong steadied herself in a panic, a faint blush appeared on her face. She had obviously felt it too and looked a little embarrassed. Qin Lang did not let go of her hand. Instead, his hand slid down along her arm and clasped her small hand in his palm. The two understood each other without speaking and walked into the Michelin restaurant just like that. It was a 3-star restaurant, and business inside was exceptionally booming. Qin Lang found a seat, had Liang Rongrong sit down, and began scanning the code to order. Seeing how calm he looked, Liang Rongrong said softly, Mr. Qin, how about we order a set menu? It's more cost-effective. Call me Brother Lang. Qin Lang opened the menu and handed it to Liang Rongrong. We don't care about value for money, only about what's the most delicious. You order. The set menus here cost 2,000 to 3,000 per person. Qin Lang didn't care about money. He planned to spend it all anyway. This trip to the US, with more than 10,000 pallets plus the yacht, had saved him at least several billion. If the farm had enough land, he would have wanted to empty the place out entirely, kill everyone to silence them, hijack a plane, and leave. Hearing him say that, Liang Rongrong did not hesitate anymore. Before long, the automatic conveyor belt delivered the dishes. 1 crispy beef brisket, 1 caviar roast duck, 1 truffle shrimp ball dish, plus 3 appetizers, blue lobster salad, white asparagus tranche, bacon olives, and 1 wrap. Qin Lang had never been here either and didn't know how it tasted. Judging from the selection, Liang Rongrong probably didn't come here often either. He handed the chopsticks to Liang Rongrong. Wanting to keep her by his side, he asked, Rongrong, let me ask you something. If the end of the world came right now, what would you do? Huh? Brother Lang, why are you asking that? Liang Rongrong was a little surprised. She thought the question was a bit exaggerated. Then of course I'd stay with the person I love most and try to survive. What if the person you love isn't by your side? What would you do then? Then I would travel any distance to find him. Liang Rongrong thought Qin Lang was testing her, and added, for the person I love, I can do it. Qin Lang put down his chopsticks and handed over a napkin. Then if I asked you not to leave Linjiang City for the next few days, could you do that? Liang Rongrong's heartbeat quickened again, and with a flushed face she said, sure, at worst I'll just take leave once. The chopsticks she had raised to her mouth slowed down. Qin Lang could tell that this girl was somewhat naive. After the disaster, many women were taken by force. Rather than taken by force, it would be more accurate to say ruined. Qin Lang didn't want Liang Rongrong to be ruined, so he decided to save her. Who could watch someone who loves them fall into danger and remain unmoved? Especially such a beautiful flight attendant. As for her loyalty, with the mind-reading ability, he could adapt as things changed. If she was loyal, she could stay. If she betrayed him, he would kill her. The two changed the subject and chatted about some happy things. While eating, Qin Lang ordered another 200 of the 3,000 yuan set meals here, with a note to pick them up tomorrow. After leaving the restaurant, Qin Lang found a taxi and took her to the 5-star hotel nearby. This hotel was the largest in Linjiang City. It was 25 stories high, 2 floors taller than the teaching building of the Finance and Economics College. Qin Lang had calculated it. The floodwaters would at most reach the 22nd floor. In his previous life, he had survived by clinging to a wooden door panel, and in the end, even his crotch had rotted from being soaked. It had seriously affected his health. In this life, he had to ensure his health in order to avenge his hatred. Qin Lang walked to the front desk and handed over his ID card. Please get me a room on the top floor. The top floor. The young woman at the front desk looked at him in confusion. Sir, the top floor is the presidential suite. It's 29,888 a night. Actually, this presidential suite wasn't all that expensive. It was just a so-called upscale room. Hearing the price, Liang Rongrong secretly stuck out her tongue. She wanted to persuade Qin Lang not to waste money like this, but instantly felt something was off. Is he going to stay with me? We've only just met for the first time. That's not good, is it? But I really like him. Just as Liang Rongrong was about to speak, Qin Lang had already handed over his card. Please book it for 3 nights. Qin Lang thought to himself that after April 9th, there would be no need to renew the room. Seeing how composed he was, the young woman at the front desk couldn't help muttering inwardly. Could he be some rich second-generation heir? Judging by the clothes he was wearing, they seemed quite expensive too. The young woman worked quickly. After scanning the ID card, she handed over the room card. Hello, Mr. Qin. This is your room card. I'll take you upstairs now. No need. Qin Lang took out more than 2,000 in cash and handed it over. For these 3 days, please don't let anyone disturb us. If we need anything, we'll call the front desk. Yes, sir. The young woman at the front desk was very pleased, and inwardly she muttered again. This handsome guy is really generous. Other people give 2 or 300, but he gives 2 or 3,000. Qin Lang remained expressionless. 2,000 yuan was nothing more than 20 sheets of paper. After the day after tomorrow, it would be useless anyway. Only then did Liang Rongrong react. She walked over, still holding his hand. Brother Lang, why did you book it for 3 days? Also, isn't such an expensive hotel not worth it? It's fine. I often book by the month. Qin Lang carried her suitcase and continued. When I book a hotel, whoever comes stays. If no one stays, it just sits empty. Hearing that, Liang Rongrong began calculating in her heart. 1 night costs 30,000, so a monthly booking would be 900,000. This brother Lang seems really rich. By the time they reached the 25th floor, the personal butler was already waiting at the door. The butler gave a respectful bow. Hello, sir. I am your personal butler. Please let me know if you need anything. Qin Lang walked into the room and casually closed the door behind him. Please don't disturb us. Dinner for 2. Yes, sir. After the butler left, Qin Lang went outside and took a look. There were only 2 suites on the floor, with a long corridor in the middle, plus 2 elevators and 2 stairwells. It was obvious that the presidential suites had been remodeled later. Only after entering did Qin Lang discover that the interior decoration was extremely luxurious. In addition to the bedroom, there was also a dedicated office area, leisure area, reception room, dining room, and kitchen. The high-end flooring, luxurious crystal chandeliers, deluxe waterbed, and home theater all opened his eyes. Although Liang Rongrong had seen the world, she still felt a little restrained. Brother Lang, I've never stayed in a hotel like this before. How could that be? Don't flight attendants all stay in 5-star hotels? That's only a very small minority. I don't cling to rich men. Besides, I've only been on the job for 3 months. How could I have that much salary? After saying that, Liang Rongrong felt she had misspoken again. After putting down his clothes, Qin Lang sat on the sofa. Liang Rongrong had no idea whether he was actually leaving or not, and she felt uneasy, like a startled little deer. She pretended to be nonchalant as she picked up a cup, began washing the teacups, and poured water. Then, in a practiced, silver bell-like voice, she said, "Brother Wolf, how about having some water?" Just as Qin Lang reached out, the cup scalded him. The girl seemed a little absent-minded, quickly set down the tray, reached out to hold Qin Lang's hand, and said, "Brother Wolf, are you okay?" She stayed crouched in front of Qin Lang like that, and blew gently on his hand with her little mouth. "I'm so sorry, I didn't notice." When she raised her head, she found Qin Lang looking at her. Their eyes met, and both felt a little embarrassed. Qin Lang had actually been thinking the whole time about how to arrange things for her. The apocalypse had not arrived yet, and he still had many things to prepare. If he just left her aside, what if she met with an accident when the flood came? When Qin Lang woke up the next morning, Liang Rongrong was still sleeping sweetly. This girl was already in her 20s, yet she was actually drooling. As Qin Lang got dressed, he seemed to remember something. That was that after the apocalypse, girls this pretty and pure were basically nowhere to be seen. Either they were eliminated in the first round, or they were abused beyond recognition. Yang Wenwen was one example. In the apocalypse, very few people were willing to protect their beauty, and even fewer had the ability to protect their safety, unless they were some of the lords in the later stages, who kept hundreds of beauties to flaunt their power. The women who truly survived were all tough, not this soft and boneless. There were also some vicious schemers who prospered, like Wang Lihua. Qin Lang left Liang Rongrong a note, telling her not to leave within 3 days and to learn how to save herself if she encountered the flood. After walking out of the bow-lading, he hailed a taxi by the roadside. Outside, a light drizzle had begun to fall from the sky. After Qin Lang got in the car, he told the driver to head toward the city center. In a wholesale mall downtown, he bought a set of cheap rain gear, a helmet, and picked up a pack of masks as well. Then he went next door and bought several wigs, some fake beards, and a few pairs of sunglasses. After leaving, he switched to another taxi and headed toward the south of the city. Today was rainy, and there were not many people on the road. After getting out, Qin Lang found a secluded spot and changed into the raincoat, wig, and beard, then put on the helmet. He found an electric scooter nearby, pried it open, and continued forward. This place was really too far. Taking a taxi and then riding the scooter had taken 2 hours. Not far away by the roadside, there was a motorcycle shop. This motorcycle shop had just opened, and its location was a bit remote. Qin Lang had searched for a whole year before finding this place in the past. Qin Lang looked around. There was no surveillance nearby, and there were not many neighbors around either. He pushed the motorcycle straight over. Inside the shop, a boss in his 20s, with tattooed arms exposed, was leisurely watching a TV drama. Seeing someone come in, he didn't even raise his head and asked, "Boss, need a repair?" Qin Lang slipped his hand inside the front of his clothes and said nothing. Seeing that he wasn't speaking, the young owner put down the remote control and stood up. Qin Lang had already walked over to his side, when he suddenly reached out and made a slash toward the young owner in front of him. With a flash of cold light, the man before him fell to the ground. "In your next life, I hope you won't street race recklessly." Qin Lang stepped over him expressionlessly, then turned back and pulled down the rolling shutter door. After that, he went upstairs and looked around. It seemed that this punk biker's family was not living with him. 3 years ago, Qin Lang had lost both his parents because of this punk biker. The punk biker served 1 year in prison and paid 2 million in compensation money. Qin Lang looked coldly at the corpse on the ground, just as this perpetrator had once looked indifferently at the bodies of his parents. "My parents will never come back. Not everyone gets a chance to be reborn. Blood for blood is the only true justice." After a long while, he threw the corpse into the farm. He also thoroughly cleaned out the gold ring and gold bracelet from the boy's hand, the gold chain from his neck, and all the cash in the drawer. He came back into the house once more and rode away on a Harley that was 90% new. This bike was worth at least 200,000, and its performance was pretty good. Along the way, Qin Lang avoided the main roads, raced wildly for more than 30 kilometers, and finally stopped at a flea market. After walking to the wall and changing all his outfit again, he tossed the motorcycle inside. After climbing over the flea market wall, he saw many large trucks not far away and walked over. "Handsome guy, need a vehicle?" A greasy middle-aged man walked over, his eyes full of a fierce gleam. That kind of look was found only in gamblers and murderers. Qin Lang merely glanced at him, then nodded and said, "I want to haul a load of some." Seeing business had arrived, The truck driver opened his door, jumped up, and quickly started the engine. When Qin Lang pulled open the door and sat in the passenger seat, the truck driver said coldly, "Boss, we only haul cargo, we don't unload it." "Fine, I'll unload it myself." Qin Lang unlocked his phone and picked a remote location, then turned on the navigation. The navigation started, distance to destination, 10 kilometers. While fastening his seat belt, Qin Lang looked at the truck driver and asked, "Driver, how old are you?" 38, the driver replied impatiently. But inwardly, he was muttering, "What the hell does my age have to do with you? If you're hauling cargo, then just haul cargo. Why ask all this?" Qin Lang could tell that this driver had a bad temper. "Then are you married? Do you have children?" This time the driver said nothing, and his face was clearly filled with anger. "Damn it, are you done or not? So what if I'm married? My wife and kid both ran off with someone else. If I hadn't lost the house through gambling, would I be out here driving a truck? That damned woman thinks I'm useless. Once I make a comeback, it'll be no use even if you kneel and beg me." The atmosphere inside the truck instantly became extremely awkward. Qin Lang could tell this truck driver was still indulging in a pipe dream. As he watched the bustling people outside the window, he was also dreaming the same dream. In this life, he had to turn things around. When the flood came, half the people drowned. After 7 days, the floodwaters receded. Those starving people drank dirty water and ate filthy things, and many of them turned into monsters. Their skin became dull and lusterless. Their eyes became cloudy and vacant, their teeth hard and sharp, and their fingernails long and pointed. These walking dead, commonly known as zombies. The first thing mutated zombies did was attack the living people around them, tear into them, and suck the blood from their bodies dry. The number of zombies far exceeded that of humans, so the top leaders of Longwa mobilized everyone to hunt zombies. Later, people discovered that a kind of crystal core would form in a zombie's brain. For living humans, this crystal core was a miraculous medicine for improving physical abilities. A level 1 zombie crystal core could raise a person's combat power by 1 level. Sometimes you would run into complete rookies whose brains had no crystal core. To level up to 99.99, you had to kill tens of thousands or even more zombies. The sheer effort could exhaust a person to death. Even if you obtained crystal cores, you still had to distribute them to your mercenaries. Otherwise, who would follow you? After reaching the full level of 9,999, if you wanted to go a step further, you had to rely on luck to obtain super crystal cores. The big shots who obtained super crystal cores possessed god-level abilities. There were not many such experts. In all of Longwa, there were only 10. These god-level experts were conferred the title of Lord by the cabinet. They commanded immense wealth and had countless masters under them. They governed a territory and had absolute authority over it. These local emperors even ignored Longwa's chief leader and the cabinet, and to maintain their rule, they would secretly wipe out all kinds of folk experts. The lord of Jiangnan province was Liang Kuei. All the mercenary teams in the entire province were under his jurisdiction. In this life, Qin Lang also wanted to become a lord, rather than remain an insignificant mercenary squad. This kind of mercenary team was basically a private outfit, not recognized by Longwa's top authorities. Not only did they have to pay high commissions to the lords, they were also bullied by other powerful mercenary teams, and their own people were so disunited that they would switch sides at the drop of a hat. Now that he had the farm system, there seemed to be a chance to turn things around. Just as he was fantasizing, the driver started cursing again. "Damn, the roads in these suburbs are way too hard to drive on. If I'd known you were coming here, I wouldn't have taken this job." Qin Lang looked up and saw that the ranch not far away was almost there. From afar, he could hear dogs barking fiercely. His main purpose in coming here was to buy some young animals. "Driver, just stop here." Qin Lang expressionlessly unfastened his seatbelt and jumped out of the truck. With a screech, the truck came to a stop. "It's going to rain soon. Hurry up and load the goods. If you delay my taking another job, you'll have to pay extra." The truck driver turned off the engine with the key, then picked up his phone, grumbling as he started playing games. Only after Qin Lang closed the door did he realize that there seemed to be more than a dozen small breeding bases here. Chickens, ducks, geese, cats, dogs, rabbits, all kinds of birds, parrots, apparently all supplied to the flower and bird market. Further ahead, there were also some goldfish, turtles, and the like. At the very back were slightly larger livestock. Not far away, a middle-aged man in an apron was holding a pitchfork. When he saw Qin Lang walking over, he took the initiative to greet him. "Handsome guy, what are you looking for?" "I want to buy cattle." Qin Lang looked around. There seemed to be only a few old yellow cattle in the shed, no calves. He was in a hurry, and loading full-grown cattle onto the truck would take too much time. Seeing business come to him, the man tossed aside the pitchfork. Are you buying them for slaughter or for something else? I want to buy calves. We do have calves. Come with me. He wiped his hands on his apron and walked toward the small room inside. We have young cattle here, but they're all kept in the small rooms and fed separately. Hearing this, Qin Lang felt much more at ease. When they reached the room in the back, he saw several calves in each room, squatting in the hay and eating grass. There were not only yellow cattle, but also little dairy calves. None of these cattle were very big, just over a meter or so. Their whole bodies were golden in color, adorably dumb and cute. Each one costs about 2,000. Which one do you want? The man had no idea what Qin Lang wanted them for, so he began introducing them. Qin Lang was very satisfied. 5 males and 5 females. I'll take 10. Uncle, I see you also have lambs here. Give me 10 of each kind too. Please load them onto the truck right now, otherwise it's going to pour soon. Don't worry, this will be quick. The middle-aged man directly opened the pen gate, let out a calf, and picked it up with his bare hands. It's over 100 gene, not heavy. The middle-aged man carried the little animal and had just reached the truck when the driver pushed the door open and got out. Hey kid, what are you doing? This is a damn cargo truck. Why are you putting livestock in it? Qin Lang smiled awkwardly. Sir, I can't help it. How about I pay you extra? He knew this driver had lost a lot of money gambling. The truck driver was furious, but when he heard about extra money, he said, what's the use of paying extra? How am I supposed to haul cargo with this truck afterward? How much can you add? 10,000 or 20,000? Hearing that, Qin Lang felt very displeased. Normally, a trip like this only cost about 300. How about I give you an extra 500? You can just have someone wash the truck. Qin Lang had no choice. There was no way he could herd these baby animals along on foot. As long as he found a place with no one around, he could throw them into the space. The truck driver flatly refused. Not even for 500. Unless it's 5,000. Otherwise I'm leaving right now. The cattle-raising uncle looked disdainful. Seeing that the deal was about to fall through, he came over to mediate. Sir, just add a little less. 5,000 isn't realistic. He handed over the calf in his hands. Look, they're all clean and don't smell much. Qin Lang looked at the sky. It was already gloomy and about to rain. He didn't care about the money anymore. Fine, 5,000 it is. Uncle, load them up. Very quickly, 10 lambs and 10 calves were all loaded into the truck. The middle-aged man then started promoting his feed again. Qin Lang still had more than 400,000 left, so he didn't fuss over it and picked out 50 bags of feed. After all, there was no grass or fodder in the space at first. Next, he bought a few piglets, dozens of chickens, ducks, and geese, plus some rabbits. Finally, Qin Lang stood at the entrance of the pet shop, staring blankly at a group of parrots. In his previous life, he had seen parrots turn into zombies. They could even mimic human speech, lure people over, and then attack them. These birds were extremely smart. Unfortunately, their combat ability was poor. If used as lookouts, they could sometimes produce miraculous results. After thinking it over, Qin Lang picked a talking pair and tossed them into the space farm. Dogs were also very useful in the apocalypse. Dogs are mankind's most loyal friends. Once they recognize their master, they will follow for life. When this kind of animal encounters zombies, it doesn't know fear. In their eyes, as long as something attacks their master, even if it's a tiger, they'll charge at it. Qin Lang deliberately chose 2 black Dogo Argentinos. These dogs look a bit better than pit bulls, and they're extremely fierce. They have great endurance, strong combat ability, and most importantly, they're smart and highly loyal. By the time all these animals were loaded into the truck, it was already 2 o'clock in the afternoon. At that moment, Qin Lang's phone rang. He glanced down and quickly answered it. Hello, Rongrong, what's up? Brother Lang, I couldn't get leave, and I'm about to leave. Liang Rongrong sounded very anxious on the phone. I'm sorry, Brother Lang. How about you cancel the presidential suite? What? Qin Lang felt a little anxious. Rongrong, didn't I tell you not to leave bullating for the next 3 days for now? Sorry, Brother Lang, I'm already in a taxi. I'll be back tomorrow morning. At that moment, Qin Lang really wanted to loudly order her to come back. But after thinking about it, since she could return tomorrow morning, there was still time. Then come back early. I'll wait for you. Have a safe trip. Be sure to read the message I sent you carefully. After Qin Lang hung up, he saw that the vehicle had already reached halfway up the mountain. Seeing him on the phone, the truck driver started having ideas. This kid lives at bullating and seems pretty rich, huh? There's no one around here. Should I kidnap him? Maybe I could even win my losses back. Qin Lang's expression changed. He reached into his coat pocket, then pulled out a short knife and held it in front of the truck driver. How about this instead? Before the words had even fallen, the blade had already plunged into the driver's chest. Expressionless, Qin Lang twisted it, then stabbed hard again. You want to make a move on me? Tired of living, huh? The truck driver only struggled twice before collapsing onto the seat. Qin Lang expressionlessly threw the corpse into the space, then pulled out 2 sheets of toilet paper and wiped the short knife clean. 5,000 yuan was a small matter. Qin Lang hadn't originally planned to argue about it, but he hadn't expected the man to start having crooked thoughts instead. Is being generous not allowed either? A light drizzle fell outside. As the saying goes, during the Qingming season, the rain falls in profusion. Travelers on the road feel as if their souls are breaking. Braving the drizzle, Qin Lang opened the truck door, carried out the young animals inside, and put them all into the space. At this moment, most of the farm was occupied by supplies. He had no choice but to find a basin and pour some feed into it. After finishing all this, he jumped into the cab. As for driving, for someone who had survived 3 years in the apocalypse, he was more than proficient. Qin Lang sped all the way, and after picking up his Michelin takeout, he made another trip to the seafood market. The pond wasn't big right now, so Qin Lang specifically chose fish with big bellies and even asked the owner for a lot of fish roe. Crabs and prawns were all packed up to go. At 3 in the afternoon, he arrived at his home. When he saw the memorial photos of his parents on the wall, he stood there for a long time. A moment later, he took the photos down and put them into the space. Then he went to the computer and tossed the main unit and monitor inside as well. There were a lot of his movies, videos, photos, and novels in there. Of course, some were proper, and some were not so proper. Although the things at home were old and shabby, Qin Lang still picked out some of them and threw them all into the farm. These were all his memories. Even if Qin Lang had to rob, he would never sell his family's house. Even if it collapsed, the title had to remain in his hands. When he saw a short knife on the table, he hesitated slightly. He had bought this knife before at a flea market. The blade was 1 qi long, and the handle 5 CUN. The entire curve of the knife was exquisitely beautiful, and the carvings and patterns on the scabbard were also very beautiful. The only regret was that the blade was covered in rust, and the gemstones inlaid in the handle had grown dirty with age. Qin Lang had brought it home and polished it several times, but it had no effect at all. He always felt this was not an ordinary knife, so he had never been willing to throw it away. After thinking about it, he still tossed it into the warehouse. Beep, beep, beep. The phone rang again. Qin Lang glanced at it and saw that it was actually Wang Lihua calling. Hello, beauty, where are you? Brother Lang, I just got home. In a bit, I'm going to take a taxi to your place. Wang Lihua sounded very tired, but also very excited. After all, it was the first time Qin Lang had said he missed her. And on top of that, he had invited her out late at night. Even a fool would understand what that meant. Qin Lang didn't hang up, but instead asked, Where's Song Qingchuan? Why isn't he coming? Him? He didn't come back. Wang Lihua said while changing clothes. Doesn't he have an online friend? He went to meet her in person today. Brother Lang, let me tell you, his girlfriend is really ugly, just like him. Qin Lang had no mood to listen to this. Wang Lihua, does your family know you're coming out? They know. I told them I was going to a friend's house to hang out for a few days, so don't worry. All right, don't go blabbing to other people. I still want to graduate. Hearing this, Wang Lihua became even more excited. Qin Lang hung up the phone and once again thought of the woman and child of his who had died tragically. Song Qingchuan definitely wouldn't get away, and there was no rush right now. Since Wang Lihua was coming, he would deal with her first. He carefully recalled what he had done during the day. With his counter-surveillance experience from the apocalypse, there was no way this could be traced back to him within at least 3 days. Both phones were placed in front of him, and there had been no activity from either of them so far, which meant the matter had not been discovered yet. The first one wasn't with family, and the second one was single. Only Song Lihua had rather a lot of calls. This woman liked to flirt around everywhere. As he was thinking this, a taxi stopped outside. After getting out, Song Lihua ran over through the rain. This woman had a bit of a figure. When she ran, things bounced up and down, but the way she walked was extremely affected, disgusting no matter how you looked at it. Brother Lang. Seeing Qin Lang looking at her, Wang Lihua stood beside him coyly. Brother Lang, are you home alone? Otherwise, why would I ask you out? Qin Lang turned around and opened the front door. After the two entered the house, Qin Lang locked the door tightly and then went to the living room. Wang Lihua clasped her hands behind her back and deliberately thrust out her chest and raised her head. Brother Lang, your bed is so big. After saying that, she plopped herself down on it. Qin Lang also walked over and started fishing for information. By the way, do you know Kai Wenhai? No, I don't. Wang Lihua felt no sense of danger at all and moved closer to Qin Lang. The first person Qin Lang wanted to eliminate was Kai Wenhai. Back then, among the several mercenary teams that came to wipe out his family under Lord Liang Kuei's orders, one was Kai Wenhai's elite society. Kai Wenhai was now in Linjiang City. He was a businessman with underworld connections, with several hundred thugs under his command. After the apocalypse, this guy rose rapidly with the men and guns in his hands, becoming a formidable mercenary force in the apocalypse. In Linjiang City, Kai Wenhai called the shots. Seeing that she knew nothing about it, Qin Lang reached out and grabbed Wang Lihua by the throat. "Brother Lang, what are you doing?" Wang Lihua suddenly felt like she could hardly breathe.